From the age of 14 to the age of 21, I dropped about 32 seconds in the 800 meter run. And I'm about to explain to you exactly how I did that.
Nico Schultz, gonna go coast to coast.
Gotta go back to the lab, keep working hard, and take today's win. And in Big Tens, try to get that medal. Never been a Big Ten medalist, so.
And that's just the way I operate. One of your guys' comments really stuck with me. It's run fast or regret it forever. And that's how I live by. So let's go all the way back to when I was 14 years old. When I was 14, all I cared about was staying in shape for football. That was the center of my focus. I didn't care about anything else. Everything else came secondary to me in my football career. So when I'm 14, I'm still 8th grade transitioning into high school. I'm about probably 125 to 130 pounds. I'm just showing up to track practice, trying to do my absolute best, but I'm still in a middle school program. I didn't really have any real coaching under me, so everything I was doing was just raw talent, pure speed. And coming out of that season, I think it was the 8th grade championships, and I ended up getting outkicked in the last 100 meter. For all my middle schoolers out there, you know what it's like to sit and kick. It was real popular back in the day, and I'm pretty sure it's still popular as of right now. So when I came into high school with the 219, 217 PR, whatever it was, there really wasn't much expectations for me to be successful. And it took everybody by surprise when I actually started running really fast once I started getting under some real training. From the age of 14 to the age of 15, I've dropped about 20 seconds under real training, and my training really wasn't endurance-based training. You see, I was doing morning runs every single Tuesday and Thursday, and as a freshman, I started out very light. I think my morning runs were only about 2 miles. That's only 4 miles a week there, and I probably had one long run, and my long run was probably only about 4 miles. And so if you combine that total, like, you're only looking at about 8 to 9 miles at max for, you know, building endurance, right? But I was running with the sprinters. I was getting out of blocks. I was doing a lot of up-tempo stuff. I was doing 70 flies, 80 flies, 120s, 150s, 250s, 350s. You know, there were even times where we would do 400 repeats as well. So my endurance was coming strictly from speed. So I dropped from a 219 PR all the way down to a 159. Now, I believe my exact PR that year was a 202, but in the 4x8, I ended up splitting 159. So let's go ahead and take that 159 split for the age of 15. So from 14 to 15, that's about 20 seconds. Now that's a lot, but when I did this, I had a lot of eyes on me. I had a lot of attention on me. And my coach told me that I have to start taking my training a lot more serious than years past. So from the ages of 15 to 16, I really tried to hit it hard. But the progression didn't come all at once. You see, I only dropped 2 seconds from my freshman year to my sophomore year. See, my PR freshman year, 159. When I turned 16, I only got down to about a 157. Now, that wasn't anything crazy, but it was still consistent, and I was still getting noticed by colleges. Not any big D1 schools or anything like that, but D3, some JUCO, some NAIA schools, some D2 schools, but nothing crazy, nothing like where I'm at today at the University of Nebraska Lincoln. But we'll get to that soon, so make sure you stay tuned. But so 16 going into 17, right? This was, you know, between 2019 and 2020. So we all know what happens next, right? The COVID year comes up, 2020. So early 2020, I'm on an absolute tear. You see, I ran 156 on a 160 meter indoor track. At Plainfield South, we only had about 160 meters. And so for the 800, you had to take about 4.5, I think 4.75 laps. And so that's a lot extra turns. So my 156 that I ran indoors that year, outdoors, it probably would have converted down to a 153, maybe even a 152 if I would have stayed consistent with my training. But I was the #1 ranked 800 meter runner indoor that year for Illinois. I was getting a lot of attention, even by smaller D1 schools, mid-tier D1 schools, and then COVID ended up happening, and I could stop my training all in all. I was pretty focused on the football season coming up, but then that never happened. I was focused on the track season coming up. That never happened, and so really I had nothing else to look forward to, and so I was just kind of weighing my options. I started working a little bit. I really was just messing around, playing football with my friends. We would meet up, but my mom really wasn't letting me outside of the house because nobody knew what the virus was. And so from 16 to 17, that's only 1 second, 157 to 156. And, you know, between all these years, from the 14, 15, 16, and 17, I'm in the 4x4s. I'm doing sprint workouts. I'm still in the football team doing my thing. I was a starting quarterback my sophomore year of high school. And so I had a lot of different priorities. And like I said, track still was secondary. I was just taking my 800 meter training a little bit more serious now that I actually have potential to be good at it. And I forgot to mention too, when I was 16 years old, I ran a 49-second open 400 meter run, and that got me all the way to state. I didn't make the finals, but it's pretty notable that a sophomore was able to make it to state and break 50 in the 400 meter run. Now let's go from the ages of 17 to 18. Now this was a very unique time for me. This was a make it or break it type of ordeal. You see, when I was 17, 18 years old, I'm transitioning from a junior to senior in high school. That's the time where you really have to make a decision upon where you want to go to college or what you want to do with your life. And you see, I had an option to go right into the trades, right into work, do a lot of early morning blue collar work, laying and installing floors. My dad was a flooring installer, and so he was basically saying like, hey, you can come work with me if this whole track thing doesn't work out, college thing work out. But I knew internally deep down that I was destined for greatness. And so I had a little Walmart job at the time. I was also on the cross country team just to kill some time with COVID. And while I was working at Walmart and cross country, I hated both equally. It was extremely difficult. I loved the camaraderie on the cross country team. I loved the atmosphere on the cross country team, but all those miles, everything else kind of made me hate the sport. And it was very difficult for me because I was built like a football player. I was 175, 180 pounds. And I'm getting kind of killed by these guys who are, 2 times, who don't even have any muscle on their body. And it's funny when you say that because football guys, they're made for muscle. And then cross country guys, you see no muscle on them. But the work that they do on that cross country course is insane. I can't even begin to give enough recognition for those guys, the absolute dogs. And so I had to choose, like, do I want to keep on doing this track thing? Do I want to go to work? But listen, as much as I didn't like running those miles in cross country, I hated working at Walmart pushing carts until 12 o'clock at night, even worse. And so I told myself, listen, I'm going to be undeniable and I'm going to earn myself a track scholarship. And this was still going on during early COVID, right? It was late 2020, early 2021, still no scholarship. And this is in Illinois, the winters of Illinois. I'm over here setting up my friends at the track. We're working out together 2-3 times a week at this track. And I have buddies, right? Let's say I had a 500 meter workout. I'm telling one of my guys, okay, you're going to line up at the 250 and you're going to line up at the 350 and you're going to stay with me for this 100 meters. And then you're going to drop off and then you're going to run with me for this 100 meters. And so I'm setting these guys up. I'm looking up online workouts. I'm doing anything and everything possible to ensure my success in the future. And the funny thing was, I didn't even have any meets planned. I didn't have anything scheduled. I was just out there for the heck of it, putting in work, thinking or knowing that an opportunity was going to open up and that I was going to be ready for it. It wasn't going to be a situation to where I had to get ready. I was going to stay ready. And so on top of everything else going on in my life, all the stresses, all the problems going on in my head, I just knew I was destined for more. And then lo and behold, some random meet opens up in January, February. There's 2 meets. I have an 800 and I have a 600. And I've never ran a 600 my entire life. The 800, I run 154. So going back to the progression I mentioned to you guys, from 17 to 18, I go from 156 to 154. And then 2 weeks later, after that 154, I'm working harder than ever before. I still don't have a scholarship. I'm taking online virtual classes my senior year of high school. I'm racing one of the best ranked 600, 800 meter runners in the nation. And I ended up beating him and going 119 indoors. And listen to this part, as soon as I touched my phone right after that race, I had 6 college coaches, Nebraska, Penn State, Iowa, and many others texting my phone instantly, hey Nico, great race, let's go ahead and chat later. So immediately after that race, I go out, I say hi to my family, we're at dinner, I'm in the car, I'm not even eating dinner with my family, I'm in the car taking calls, getting questioned by these college coaches, what's your weight, what's your height, what's your GPA, what's your running form looking like, you got any videos of what you look like they were hounding me just because I broke 120 in the 600. But that would have never happened if I didn't believe in myself for those months prior and believe that I was destined for greatness. And I didn't even mention to you guys beforehand too, I quit football in that process. From the ages of 17 to 18, when my football season was canceled because of COVID, football wasn't canceled, it was just pushed back to the spring. But during the spring season, that's when track and field started up. And so I had to make a decision upon, do I want to keep on doing this football thing or do I want to keep on doing this track thing? And we all know that for me personally, my God-given ability is on that track. And I loved football with all of my heart. I still probably like football more than I do like track. I had to go to where that money was at and I had to go to where I was built to go to, and that was on that track. And so when I put those chips all in on track and field, it ended up paying out more than I could have ever imagined. Seriously. And so, I get that scholarship, transition to when I'm 19 years old. I was dealing with some injuries as soon as I got to Nebraska. I only got down to about 152 from when I was 19. But I saw huge progress from the ages of 19 to 20. I had a bit of a coaching transition. I dropped 4 seconds. From 19 to 20, I went from a 152 800 to a 148 800. That's a huge jump. That might be the biggest jump on here besides my ages from the ages of 14 to 15. And so with that 148 at the age of 20, transitioned to when I'm 21. That was this past season when I was a junior school wise, and then I was a sophomore track eligibility. I ran a 147 and I split 146. So if we're taking splits, we'll call it a 146. But in total, after that 7 years of progression from 2017 all the way to 2024, that's about 32 seconds. And as you guys know, the Olympics are currently going on right now. And obviously I had a chance to go there. I was actually the last spot in for the Olympic trials. I just did not know it until it was the last minute, and so I did not go. But there's so much opportunity out there to improve. And throughout this 7-year process, so many times, listen to this, so many times I wanted to quit randomly in there, from the ages of 17 to 18, when my mom was hounding me about, you have to go get a job, you have to go find a college. I don't know what I wanted to do at the time. All I knew is that I had to get there somehow, some way. And even this past season too, there was so much trials and tribulations throughout the season, to where I ran good at certain meets and I ran terrible at certain meets, and I was questioning whether this sport is even for me. All throughout this process, there was so much doubt, there was so much confusion, there were so many losses and failures that just were terrible, so many setbacks. But if you look at this, every single year I've gotten faster. No matter what was in my way, no matter what was going on in my personal life, school, friends, family, anything else going on in the outside world, the only thing that stood true within these past 7 years is that I improved and I got better. And in order to make something like this happen, all you got to do is keep on betting on yourself, because at the end of the day, when you're lining up on that line and it's only you, you know the work that you put in, you know everything that you have been through in the past. And so do all those other guys, but the only difference between you and the other guys lined up on that line is who really wants it more. And at the end of the day, I knew I've been doing this for far too long to let anybody else take what I've done away from me. And in order to get that glory, in order to be a champion, you have to bet on yourself, and you have to understand that it takes a different type of mentality, especially for us 800-meter runners. Us 800-meter runners are wired so differently than other track athletes. We're not as technical as sprinters. We don't have as much endurance as distance runners. We're just out there doing one of the most difficult events in track because we love it. We love the pain. We love what you get from the event. And overall, you're just built for it. You have to be built for the 800-meter run. There's really no way around it. So that's my 7-year progression. That's how I went from a 219 to a 147. This upcoming season too, I have high goals, aspirations. If you look back there, that's 2025, 144, and you also see that 1 million subscriber count. Right now I'm only at 5K, but who knows where I can be at this time next year. So keep on grinding, keep on getting after it, keep up on your summer training. Give me a follow on Strava. I'll drop that link in the bio below, and follow me on all my socials, man. But till next time, this has been Nico Schultz, 800-meter runner here at the University of Nebraska Lincoln. Stay fast, y'all. Peace.